Henry Kissinger is to the left of Biden. And on foreign policy, he was at the World Economic Forum, and he said literally that both the United States needs to come to a negotiated settlement around Ukraine, or this is just a war on Russia, and it's going to become that in the next couple of months. I mean, arguably, it already was that. And then with China, he said the United States is pursuing a two-China policy and that it needs to stop that as well because the consequences are disastrous. And I think this is really important to note that someone like Henry Kissinger would say this. I mean, Henry Kissinger ostensibly committed genocide in Vietnam, was really behind that coup in Chile. He was really disastrous during the Nixon administration, but he also was the one who brokered normalization of relations with China. He also is like a Cold Warrior at heart and understands Cold War relations. So while he is definitely not a friend of the left, the fact that Joe Biden is being outflanked on the left around foreign policy questions to a Henry Kissinger shows just how disastrous and just how sociopathic this Biden administration and this U.S. imperialist state really is, because these are reasonable positions on Russia, reasonable positions on China. He's not saying he's a friend of Russia. He's not saying he's a friend of Putin. He's not saying he's a friend of China. Certainly, I'm sure he would not be a friend of either of their social systems, either of their governments. But nonetheless, he is saying that World War III is probably not the thing to do right now. The United States isn't in a position. Somebody said in a reply, I think, to my tweet, that he knows that the United States can't win. And I agree with that. The United States cannot win a war with Russia or China, or let alone both. It shouldn't even want to fight such a war because it would literally, I think, disintegrate this imperialist world system. Right? I don't know what we would get afterward with the level of organization, going back to the very first question of this stream, that we have, but nonetheless, it would be disastrous for imperialism. But of course, we know that imperialism will go for any war that they think will lead to more profits and, of course, the hegemony that you need to accumulate those profits.